All right, you ready to schmooze?
Yes, let's do it.
So we talked yesterday that President Biden was starting to let immigrants enter the United States, those applying for refugee and asylum, at a border crossing, applying for asylum and allowing them into the country. Title 42 prevented that from happening for the last two and a half years under the guise of protecting the United States from further COVID infections because of the pandemic. And because now we're opening up society, President Biden said, okay, we're going to lift Title 42. We don't have to have this Remain in Mexico program anymore. We don't need to have 10 cities set up on the Mexican side. We're going to go back to the old system, the way it was for the last 40 plus years. You come to a border, you apply for asylum. If you have a credible fear, they let you in, pending your final asylum interview. Well, that lasted all of about 24 hours, Yo-Yo, because Louisiana U.S. District Judge Robert Summerhays granted a restraining order on the termination of Title 42. Summerhays was a Pumpkin appointee, appointed to the federal bench by none other than President Pumpkin himself, the Donald Trump. What we're also talking about, we're just Trumped out already.
Yes.
Tired of Trump. But he's still in the news. And he granted the motion yesterday from a group of Republican states in a lawsuit filed against the Biden administration, specifically by Louisiana, Missouri, and Arizona, that prevented the Biden administration from lifting the pandemic health recommendation because it would result in an unprecedented crisis at the United States southern border. Now, if you remember, on April 1st, the Centers for Disease Control withdrew their recommendation to the Department of Homeland Security to continue to carry out Title 42. A lot of Democrats, a lot of immigration advocates said what's happening there is cruel and inhuman. President Biden, you ran on an inclusive platform. You said you were going to bring immigration reform. Title 42, or continuing it, is not immigration reform. It is the antithesis of immigration reform. So we knew that was going to happen. I even talked about it yesterday. I said it's going to happen until some judge puts a stop to it. It wasn't even 24 hours the judge did it. Now, immigration rights advocates have also, as I said Title 42, which was originally a public health measure, could not serve in place of immigration laws. Aaron Melnick, a senior policy counsel at the American Immigration Council, said, quote, Title 42 is not an immigration law. It is an exercise of public health power to take a person who is inside the United States and send them to another country. It's basically what it is. Now, in a bit of irony, the mayors of two of the largest cities on the border of Mexico and the United States that has legal border crossings, Tucson, Arizona, and Brownsville, Texas. In a bit of irony, both of those mayors came out in favor of the Biden administration to end the pandemic restrictions on asylum. So the people at the border, the people who live at the border, the people who have to deal with people coming across the border into their community, elected representatives who are in favor of eliminating Title 42.
Oh, they're in favor of it.
They're in favor of eliminating it. They're on Biden's side. Which is ironic that there's Republican states that are nowhere near the border.
that are like, no.
But the people who are on the border and their elected officials on the border are saying yes.
That should tell you something.
That's what I'm saying. It's a bit of irony.
Yeah, I thought you were being sarcastic because I thought that you were going to say that they want Title 42.
No, they don't want it. The mayors wrote, we support the Biden administration's decision to repeal Title 42 and uphold our legal and moral obligation of providing the fundamental right to seek asylum. It is the smart thing to do. It is the right thing to do. It is fair and humane immigration system, which should be a priority for all of our leaders, not just those such as us who see the effects of a broken system every day. Now, they continued to write that Title 42 was never an immigration policy. It never worked as such at our southern border. It was a public health order that President Trump manipulated to further his exclusionary agenda and mainstream anti-immigrant rhetoric. A bit of irony.
Yeah.
A bit of irony. So, meanwhile, what's also a little trifling, Yo-Yo, is that it's coming out that the U.S. Government Accountability Office is saying that the Department of Homeland Security is undercounting the number of deaths of people trying to cross the border that are trying to come in without inspection by not crossing near a border crossing. Now, there's been more entries without inspection since the pandemic started, simply because people are in tent city. They're not allowing people to enter the United States on a more rational basis. They are preventing people from applying for asylum. They are preventing people from applying for asylum and waiting in the United States for their asylum hearing. They are applying for asylum and sitting in Mexico in a tent, waiting for their hearing to be heard months or sometimes years later. And with the idea that Trump said, you know what, people will get tired of waiting, they'll go home. That was his idea. So people say, I'm going to run across the border.
Yeah.
And when people start running across the border, people start dying. And according to the U.S. Government Accounting Office, the Department of Homeland Security is not counting all the deaths from people running across the border, because they're only counting the deaths of people that the Department of Homeland Security comes across. They are not including the number of deaths that are reported by the state police, and they are not reporting the number of deaths by other local authorities that come across dead bodies in the desert or wherever else they may come across. Now, the General Accounting Office pointed out that Congress directed Customs and Border Patrol to report on every discovery of migrant remains, not just discoveries by Department of Homeland Security, but discoveries by everybody.
Right.
So when you see the statistics of number of deaths, it's only the number of deaths that the Department of Homeland Security has come across. Now, in 2020, between 1998 and 2020, the U.S. Border Patrol recorded over 7,000 migrant deaths. In 2020 alone, it was 227 people dead that they came across trying to cross the border without inspection. Now, according to an international organization for migration, the United Nations agency that monitors migration, they claim more than 650 dead. That's a big cry from 227.
Wow.
And they say that their number is undercounted.
Wow.
So maybe it could be over 1,000 people dying trying to run across the border every year.
I agree with Burrell Harris saying that is so messed up. That is messed up.
And,
These are actual human beings.
Yeah, and I want you to know something. What is very, I find it, I don't understand how you can rationalize both sides of the coin, where people will argue, the abortion argument and say every life matters.
Right.
We can't have an abortion because every life matters. But then as soon as that life is born, that life doesn't matter as much anymore, apparently. Because nobody seems to care when people die running across the border.
Right.
Nobody seems to care. People running for their lives.
That is definitely hypocritical.
Nobody seems to care about that.
Right.
So to me, every life matters until that life is born.
Yeah.
And then the life doesn't matter as much depending on what that life looks like. Right?
It's true.
I mean, if you really want to come down to it.
It's very true.
There's more important lives than other important lives. Some lives are more important than others. Before the baby's born, every life is the same. It's very important. But once the baby's born,
should be the same.
Depending on what that baby looks like, and where that baby was born, those lives could be different.
Yeah.
Quite hypocritical.
Yeah, I agree.
And I'll tell you what else is I find hypocritical is that nobody talks about this.
Right.
Nobody seems to care.
Except for the two ladies that I did that interview.
That is right.
That's actually what I started thinking about.
Yeah, do you remember you spoke with Christy Guevara,
and
Flanagan, and Maite Zabare, and they appeared on a show, about a month ago?
Yeah.
Right, and they represent Eagles of the Desert, a volunteer group who goes out once a month to search for missing migrants at the U.S. southern border. According to Christy and Mighty, it's estimated that only 1 out of every 5 migrants are actually ever found.
Yeah.
So if I don't know, if they say the UN says 600 dead, and now Christy and Mighty is saying only 1 out of 5 are found. It's maybe more than that. Maybe it's 2,000. Maybe it's 3,000 people dead at the border every year, because we don't want to interview them at a border crossing and allow those people into the United States who pass a credible fear interview that their life is in danger. They could be killed if they go back home. That life's not as important as the unborn child.
Yeah.
That's what is hypocritical about the whole thing. And by the way, this is also a little bit trifling. Did you see CNN obtained 2,319 text messages that former President Donald Trump's White House Chief of Staff Mark Meadows sent and received between Election Day 2020 and President Joe Biden's January 20th, 2021 inauguration? Why that's important. What I found most interesting was before I tell you what I found most interesting, they included messages to the Trump family. Now, Mark Meadows was the chief of staff. He's basically President Trump's right-hand man. They include messages from Trump's family, Ivanka Trump, son-in-law Jared Kushner, son Donald Trump Jr., as well as White House and campaign officials, cabinet members, Republican Party leaders, January 6th rally organizers. January 6th was the insurrection. Rudy Giuliani, the pillow guy, Mike Lindell, Sean Hannity. I'll tell you what I found most interesting about all of this. About how dirty and politics is. Before the election was even called, before anybody even knew whether Donald Trump or Joe Biden was going to be the next president, he was already receiving text messages about how they can spin if Trump loses that the election was rigged and was a fraud.
Oh, wow.
Before even the results came in. Then, what I also found very interesting is another set of text messages when the January 6th insurrection was happening. And a lot of people are texting Mark Meadows, congressmen, politicians are texting Mark Meadows, tell Trump to stop this, tell Trump to stop this, and he wouldn't stop it. At 3:45 p.m., in the middle of the insurrection, Donald Trump's campaign spokesman, Jason Miller, sent out a text message to Mark Meadows at 3:45. Call me crazy, but I got 2 ideas. This is an exact quote in the text message. Call me crazy, but I got 2 ideas. 1, bad apples, likely Antifa or other crazed leftists, infiltrated today's peaceful protest over a fraudulent vote count. 2, the fake news media are now trying to blame peaceful and innocent MAGA supporters for violent actions. So before 3:45, at 3:45, Trump campaign came out with these 2 talking points that nobody ever said a word about beforehand. At 3:52, Congressman Green is already texting people and texting Mark Meadows 7 minutes later, Mark, we don't think these attackers are our people. We think it's Antifa dressed like Trump supporters.
Sir.
5 minutes later, Representative Louis Gohmert, a Texas Republican, texted Mark Meadows. Capitol Police told me last night they've been warned today that it's a lot of Antifa people dressed as Trump supporters. Now, that's what they were going with right after, if you remember, right after the insurrection. These were not Trump supporters. These were all leftists, socialists, Antifa people, anarchists who are pretending to be Trump supporters but are not. It was all made up.
Yeah.
All made up. And you saw it right there in the text messages. And you want to know why we all know it was made up now, 16 months later?
Why?
Because after hundreds and hundreds of indictments, not one person who was arrested, who was found, because they all found people by video. You have video of people in the Congress. They did facial recognition. They located the person. They arrested him. Not one person was an Antifa supporter. They were all Trump supporters. Every last one of them.
That's crazy. They literally just put out lies.
They put out absolute lies. Now, Congressman Green, she's facing a legal challenge down in Georgia now as being an insurrectionist herself. Basically being a traitor to the United States Constitution. In this court case is trying to bar her from re-election. The other thing that I found quite disturbing about all of this is there's a lot of text messages between Mark Meadows and Sean Hannity. Sean Hannity is the number one most watched show on Fox News. He just celebrated, I think, 25 or 30 years on Fox News as the longest running news program in the United States of America. But it's not a news program. It's not even an opinion program.
Right.
It is a political spin program. And how do we know it is a political spin program? Because there are hundreds of text messages between Sean Hannity, who is supposed to be an independent newsman, who is supposed to be perhaps giving his opinion, but certainly giving the news, speaking to Mark Hannity through these text messages, Mark Meadows through these text messages, and asking for direction. What does he want Trump? What does Trump want me to say?
Oh, whoa.
What does Trump want me to say?
Whoa.
And on election day, Meadows texted Hannity, stress every vote matters, get out the vote. And Hannity replied, yes, sir, on it. Any place in particular we need to push
That's insane.
for the vote.
That is insane.
So he's not an independent newsman.
No.
I find it all trifling. So all BS, all this politics. All this politics is BS. And by the way, you saw Kamala Harris tested positive for COVID.
I found out right when it happened.
How do you find out right when it happened?
You got my inside.
You've got your inside scoop on Kamala?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Eventually, everyone's going to get it. I'm sure President Biden will get it too. She's not sick. I read an article that over 60% of Americans have had COVID.
That makes sense.
Eventually, it's going to happen to everybody.
We said that too.
Yeah. And we talked about the mask mandate being dropped by airlines. They're allowing most people who are banned from the airlines to return. But the FAA says we're going to have a zero tolerance policy on unruly passengers moving forward.
So act right.
Act right. If not, they're never going to let you back on an airplane.
Yeah, you're lucky. You're getting a second chance now.
Very lucky. Let's do some tea. I'm thirsty.
Yes.
Tea?
Tea time. Ooh, what do we got? What we
We
got?
don't even have any tea music today. How sad. I
I
didn't ask you to sing. Excuse me. We want our own tea music. There we go.
Sorry, the sound mixer's not here today.
So what we got today?
Honey ginger tea today.
Oh, honey ginger.
Have we had honey ginger tea before?
Yes, I believe so.
Yes.
This
we
is
had this before?
is like
Not for a while.
Not for
this
a
is
while.
like a Jamaican remedy.
Wow. I just dropped my. Thank you very much.
Ooh, it smells very
Thank you
gingery.
very much. I appreciate it. That's a very good job. Thank you. Let's taste this. How are we doing?
Oh,
Let's see.
this is good. Yes,
Good?
I've had
Cheers.
this.
Cheers, everybody. Enjoy your tea if you're joining us for tea. This is very good. Why is it so sweet?
Honey.
Is honey infused?
Yes. With ginger. Do you feel the ginger?
I do. I like it. You ever have ginger shots?
Yeah, yes.
When you're not well?
Yes, when I'm not well. Yes.
Very nice.
This is good.
All right. So talking about airplanes, we were talking about this on Thursday. Mike Tyson.
Man.
You know, you could take the man out of the ring, but he's still in that ring, right?
Listen, that's somebody that I would never try and just mess with.
At first, when I first heard the story, before I heard anything that happened, I'm like, oh, come on. You know, first Will Smith, now Mike Tyson. Why is everybody hitting everybody?
This is different.
But this was completely different.
This is different.
This was
guy
different.
was a douchebag.
This guy
He
was asking
nasty.
for it.
And Mike Tyson gave him a selfie. He was nice to him at first. Look at him in the back. He's just chilling.
And you want to know what? I mean, this is Mike Tyson.
Yeah.
Okay, you got to know who you're dealing with.
Remember what he's had a pretty bad past. You
got to know who you're dealing with.
We know that he's made some horrible mistakes in the past. So it's like that you are not.
So Mike Tyson turned around to the seat and beat the crap out of this guy.
We got a video.
Yeah, there he is. Oh yeah, there he goes with the right into the face.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Do you understand?
I'm going to tell you something.
That guy
I'm going to
next
tell you, people would pay $20 for pay-per-view to watch that fight, right?
Listen.
So before the beatdown, apparently this guy, you called him a douchebag.
Yeah, look how he looks.
Yeah. He was apparently seen on video posted by TMZ standing over Mike Tyson's seat, waving his arms, talking, animatedly, while the former boxer was just sitting there just trying to chill out.
I think it was self-defense.
This guy's name, he has a name, Melvin Townsend III. Okay, he was left beat up.
And bloodied.
Yeah, now when the flight landed...
Look at his face.
When the flight landed...
Doofus.
Yeah, when the flight landed, they were both escorted to the police. Townsend said he doesn't want to press charges, and the police let them both go. But...
we found out that he had prior... arrests.
Yeah.
So
now a close source to Tyson, who was not on the flight, said if Mike was really punching him, he would have laid the guy out.
Oh, absolutely.
Absolutely. I'm going to say, Mike Tyson punched now, even in his 50s. He would knock anybody out.
Look how strong that punch looked.
Woo. Yeah, this guy has a record in 2018. He stole a trailer that was hitched to a pickup truck. He had some drug possession charges. He's just a jerk.
Yeah, I am surprised he didn't press charges though.
Yeah, no, he did not press.
Or at least try to get some money.
I don't know,
but
yeah, he's got a lawyer now though, so I'm sure he may be suing. He may be suing Mike Tyson.
Yeah, because I'm sure a lot of people, if he didn't press charges there, I'm sure he had a lot of people that were like, "Hey, guy, we could get something out of this."
Now, Mike Tyson's lawyer. Townsend's lawyer said, at a certain point, Mr. Tyson clearly became agitated by an overly excited fan and began to strike him in an excessive manner. This situation could have been avoided simply by contacting the flight attendant. Our client denies throwing a water bottle prior to being struck by Mr. Tyson. Now, Mr. Tyson has the defenses, I felt threatened.
I feel he's behind him.
Yeah, I don't think he's not going to settle Tyson. I doubt it.
No, I don't think so either.
I think you'll see this. This will be like 3-4 years. We'll be talking about their trial.
Yeah.
I doubt he'll settle this.
I don't think he should.
Yeah.
This is a man that bit somebody's ear off. Why would you
go after this guy?
Look at him. He bit Evander Holyfield's ear.
Yeah.
Off.
Exactly. Why would you?
Why would you do this? And he has edibles with ears.
And the man's got a tattoo on his face.
On his face.
You have a tattoo on. You don't mess with a guy with a tattoo on his face, right?
No.
Guy has a tattoo on his face. You leave him alone.
You're an idiot for this,
right?
Yes.
If you see a guy with a tattoo on his face,
I don't care how old he is. I am leaving him alone.
Yes. I think the tattoo on his face says it all.
Yes.
You don't mess with a guy with a tattoo on his face. They're crazy.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
And I told you guys about how I feel about celebrities, just because I hang out with so many and I have actual friends that are. I know Brad and I, we always go back and forth with this. He doesn't agree with my thing, but these people are human. And, especially if you already have some kind of mental, kind of thing going on. You're chilling, you're nice, you give them a selfie, and on top of that, you still, agitating, you're bound to just blow up. So I'm on Tyson's side.
All right. What do you think of ASAP Rocky? I don't get this.
Yeah,
I don't get this. On Wednesday, April 20th, man's got everything going for him.
Yeah.
Right?
A billionaire girlfriend.
He's got everything in the world. Why is he even associated with some of these people? Rocky and pregnant Rihanna, they were living it up in the Bahamas, came back on a private plane, and when he came back, ASAP Rocky, he's arrested. for his involvement in a shooting that occurred on November 6, 2021. This didn't happen years and years ago.
Right.
This happened like 4 months ago.
It happened while she was still pregnant.
This happened 4 months ago. He's accused of approaching a man whose name has not been released on Argyle and Selma Avenue in Los Angeles at around 10:20 p.m. with 2 other men and firing 3 to 4 shots at the man. The victim did not die, but he did get shot. And then a day later, A$AP Rocky performed with Rihanna in attendance like nothing happened. Now, he's let out on bail of, what was it, $550,000. If convicted of felony assault with a deadly weapon, he can go to jail for 4 years, pay $10,000 in fines, mandatory probation. I don't get why when he needs to be involved in this. Whether he was the guy who shot or he was just there as a bystander. I mean, it could be very well that he was just there as a bystander, but why is he even involved in any of this?
Yeah. I mean, there's a saying, you could take the man out of the hood, but you could never take the hood out of a man. So, you're from Harlem, you hang out with Harlem people, you hang out with,
Wait a second, you live in Harlem, you're not going around shooting people?
I mean, I'm not from there, you know what I mean? Like when you're born and raised in the hood, like you still hang out. Like I know a lot of celebrity rappers that are from Harlem that literally just chill on the corner with their guys, with their boys. And who's to say like it wasn't one of his boys that actually did it and he was just with them. It's just, sometimes it could be wrong place, wrong time. I can't speak on it because I wasn't there. But it's just very unfortunate, especially for the fact that, they are bringing a baby into this world. They had to cancel their baby shower that they, had. They're both of their first child. So it's unfortunate. Yeah,
a source said it was meant to be Rihanna's baby shower in LA on Wednesday night, but they had to cancel it. She's very, very upset. She's stressed by Rocky's arrest. It's not the best time for her to be on such an emotional roller coaster.
Yeah.
She's heavily pregnant. And these are very serious accusations. It's a nightmare scenario.
Yeah.
I just don't get it. I get it, but I don't get it. In other words, I get it. Yes, he grew up, but I don't get it.
Yeah.
I get it, but I don't get it. That's all I can tell you.
Yeah.
It's very, very sad situation.
It is.
Right? I get upset when I see these things.
I do too.
Our guy has everything going for him. What does he need to be involved in this crap for?
Yeah.
Okay? What does he need to be involved in it?
I agree.
Thanks for watching. For more Brad Show Live, like and subscribe to our YouTube channel.